Alright guys, let's talk about it. What are the best Overwatch heroes to play to rank up with in Season 9/10? And the reason why I'm going to be including Season 10 is obviously we got the brand new Venture hero, and I've been having a lot of fun with the character. And while I was live streaming, a lot of people wanted to know, what are my thoughts on Venture? Are they really good or are they bad? Is it kind of like a skip character? And just as a heads up, I'm going to be using kind of the website over here called Overbuff, which tracks all the stats, the win-loss ratios of all of the characters. But I do know that there are some inflated ranks because there are certain characters that people do play, like Torbjorn and Symmetra, will always have an insanely high inflated win rate, and that is because usually people play them for, like, let's say, the first point of defense, and if they lose, they just swap. So essentially, the play time and win rate gets fluctuated depending on how long you play the character. So I will kind of factor that in. Also, just as a quick little note over here, I'm going to be mainly considering Diamond and under. Even though I have been Grandmasters on every single role, I think to make the video feel a little bit more relatable for most people that are interested in ranking up, I'm going to consider this for Diamond as well as unders. So I'm not going to be factoring Master Grandmasters because certain things at the highest ranks like Widowmaker can absolutely just solo carry a lobby and you just like automatically lose if someone picks Widowmaker at the high rank if they are a really good player. So let's go ahead and talk a little bit about it. So starting right off, keep in mind Season 10 isn't out yet, but I wanted to go ahead and go over what are like some of the best and better heroes to play. So we're going to go ahead and start it off with what you guys already see here as one of the best in terms of support. Talk about DPS as well as tanks. So these are my recommendations if you want to rank up in the game. So obviously you see Kiriko. Kiriko just solo carries games sometimes specifically by stopping other people's ultimates, keeping people alive that really should have been dead. Just an overall insanely good character, great ultimate, great entire kit. Still one of the most insane supports to ever come out in the game. Next up, Moira is actually really good in the support category as well if you're looking to rank up. And the reason why is there's so many characters in the game right now that deal specifically 240 damage or like they'll get 220. The numbers are just so good right now with Moira to throw those damage orbs. If you're playing Hanzo, Hanzo can't one-shot a lot of the roster now. Neither can Junkrat 2-tap other things. So having a Moira allows characters like Junkrat or Hanzo to actually be kind of playable because Junkrat is a really bad hero right now as far as it goes. And the reason why is because, well, when everyone's HP got increased in Season 9, well, you're going to have to land not only 2 directs, but then something else needs to actually hit the target, which makes things a lot more annoying. And you can't really do the Junkrat combo where you left click and then you throw a mine and just insta someone. That is a huge thing for Junkrat, and since that doesn't exist anymore, that's a huge thing. Another thing is Lucio. Lucio is really, really good. However, I'm just going to put a little note here. In the OWL, this is basically like the supports that everyone plays. Sometimes you may see another character here or there, but these are definitely the ones seen. Lucio is still really good even at the lower ranks, and the reason why is because of the HP pool increase. If you just basically keep it on heal, and I know that at the higher ranks you basically try to utilize the speed as much as possible, but at the lower ranks, honestly, just keeping it on heal is so dang good because especially at the lower ranks, and what I've noticed is sometimes people will like hide behind something and be like, I need heals, I need heals. And if you are consistently healing your teammates, sometimes they get scared when they are low HP because they don't want to die. But Lucio actually really helps out for that reason. Plus, it's a really consistent ult. I mean, it doesn't really like mess up, right? Whereas like, there's other ultimates where you can kind of miss time. And Lucio is just an overall pretty good character. Just ever since Overwatch 2, he's been pretty much in the higher tiers of the game. Next up, this is actually one of the ones where I'm going to consider it kind of niche. If I was to consider any character to be in the S tier, especially if you're looking to rank up until Diamond, I think Soldier's just overall one of the most consistent heroes. Even if we look at the metagame right now, at the higher ranks of the game, it's specifically seeing Tracer and Sojourn. And while I originally was going to keep Sojourn and Tracer as the S tier because watch OWL, that's what they play. But realistically, to ask someone to execute really well on Sojourn and Tracer, again, at the lower ranks, is just going to be a lot more difficult. You're probably better off just playing Soldier, and that would be my recommendation. He's one of the first characters that I got to Grandmasters in the DPS category, and still one of the best options in a lot of situations. There's never a situation where, oh man, we got a Soldier, I'm upset, he's doing 0 damage, right? I mean, it happens sometimes people, like, you know, misperform, but misperformance is more so on, like, characters like Hanzo, or just things that just don't work out, whereas Soldier, he's going to be very consistent, and that's my best recommendation for the DPS category if I was to, you know, help someone try to rank up and tell them what to play. Very simple character to learn, very straightforward. As far as the first tank, Mauga, I mean, this thing does not die. Cardiac Overdrive is an insane ability, and he just like never dies at some ranks. And I wanted to also kind of include Orisa here, but I think that there are more uses with Sigma. I'd rather give you guys a suggestion as Sigma, especially on maps that have like long sightlines like Havana, like Circuit Royale. Sigma is just so incredibly good. Very consistent damage. Again, you can see that kind of a theme on what I recommend people to play as far as the S tier. So now let's go ahead and go over the A tier. So I'm just going to go ahead and drop the whole... Oh, actually, we got to zoom out over here because we got way more characters to go ahead and show in the B tier. So here's what I got for characters that I would consider in the A tier. So as far as the A tier characters go, I think Tracer, Sojourn are still really solid characters to learn. Things like Orisa, that sometimes they just feel like they never die, as well as Winston just being really good to not only provide shields for your teammates, but in certain maps like Numbani to get to the high ground, it's kind of difficult for some other characters, like of course Melga, to get value with that point if you are on attack, right? Whereas characters like Winston, D.Va, they're just like great tanks to go ahead and learn. D.Va's just really solid overall because they added more HP. The hitboxes on certain things like the D.Va's micro missiles, you just activate that, you can melt most things in the game, which is actually pretty dang good. By the way, the gameplay you're seeing is obviously going to be quick play because I want to show off the new hero. I'll show you guys where I put the new hero very soon. But we did have top 500s in the gameplay here, because I was viewing people's profile. There's GMs in the games as well. But again, with quick play, you can get people that are like in like silver, and usually if you have some sort of MMR on the account, it'll usually try to give you at least like diamond. But because certain times will be super long for the quick play, it'll just throw in random lobbies. But nonetheless, over here on the A tier, so yeah, Tracer, Sojourn, again, really consistent damage. Orisa following up with another consistent source of damage. Ramatra's great. Winston's great for damage as well. And obviously, the barrier that Winston can provide is really good for certain maps to allow your other DPS to maybe take height on high ground, like Winston, Genji, again, first point Numbani, really good characters on that one. Ramatra's just an overall solid character. Baptiste is really good. Immortality is pretty strong, but I feel like Bap against specifically Venture is an interesting matchup because what can happen is the immortality will actually get destroyed first instantly because it hits for 130, and so Bap actually loses out to Venture in terms of like kind of that matchup. Obviously, we're talking with its ult, but Bap's ult, his just ability to give you immortality is just so dang powerful, and I think that Bap is still a really strong pick, especially if you're interested in more of the DPS lineup for the support category. And then Ashe has always been pretty good, and I really like Ashe because there's not really an ultimate that just kind of negates her ultimate for the most part, like as in what's in the meta right now, because Kiri's Bell doesn't really save you from a Bob outright, but that ultimate is very, very strong, and I think it wins a lot of fights on its own. Then the next thing I want to talk about, Pharah is actually a pretty good character, especially if you combine it with a Mercy. Again, we're talking about Diamond and under for this tier list. I think Pharah is a pretty decent character overall. And then we have Zarya. There hasn't been really any like newer things with Zarya. She got some small changes in terms of DPS, but again, you have much better options with like Mauga as well as Sigma to be very, very consistent, because sometimes if Zarya doesn't get her charge, she can't really do anything. It's not really necessarily their fault, other than maybe they should be swapping. But then Cass, I think Cass is still pretty dang good, and he can still see some play, but the problem with Cass is that his ammo size didn't get increased, and you have to land like double headshots to kind of confirm a kill, because it's 140 plus 70, which is still going to be short, so it just requires a lot more accuracy. And again, I'm considering this list for season 9/10, and obviously with the new changes, I feel like Cass kind of falls short on that, even though they've increased his ultimate as well. Reaper, it can be kind of in the niche category, because if they do play Mauga or Hog, yeah, Reaper can be okay. I like the HP buff because I think Genji is pretty dang strong, but he still loses out to stuff that's like kind of out of your control. Like someone will be really low and then they'll just teleport away, or Moira will fade away. He's kind of hard to get consistent kills on the support that is currently in the meta. But when things like Zen and Ana are in the meta, Genji can kind of thrive a little bit more because those characters don't have that much mobility, and as a flanker, you have a little bit more that you can do. So obviously you guys see Venture. I put Venture in the B tier. Now, when I'm playing the character, and like I've had games where I absolutely dominate with Venture like consistently, and keep in mind that's like quick play, but I do also factor in that the character can be pretty good against specifically Ana and Zen, because you just basically kill those targets for free. But another thing that I've noticed is if something does dive in, depending on which character it is, like a Genji that maybe dives your team, you can just go under the ground, pop up right next to him, and then you use your drill to push him into your team. And while you just gained yourself an additional set of shields, it's really weird. You get 40 shields, but it can only go up to plus 75 as the maximum on the shields for Venture. But getting that extra shield and stuff basically kind of absorbs some sort of damage that you would normally not get with a DPS character, and you can really help out your support lineup. But with the game being very focused in on consistent sources of damage, Venture's kit doesn't really allow you to sit in the front, just keep on, just left clicking. The left click does okay damage, and the ultimate isn't bad, but like you can't just like sit in front and then go burrow and then expect not to get hit. A lot of times you will get knocked out of your burrow, and I think that as far as Venture goes, I'm hoping that we could see some buffs on the time to burrow, because it's really hard to get out, and it almost reminds me of Doomfist, where you would have to use like your entire kit just so you can like maybe secure a kill, and then you don't even have an escape route. So like if I go in as Venture like super deep, right, and then I try to use my escape, like I just tried right there, but I just got melted like instantly, because it does take quite a bit of time. Look, I was like full HP, and I melted so fast because I tried to go in, and it takes too long to go into the ground. I think that is a problem, or they can maybe make it so if you get in a limb, maybe you can get a reset like Genji on the dash. I think that would be huge if we can get like a reset on that, because if I go under the ground and then pop up, hit him for 100, and then I have to left click twice, and then I'd have to try to get out, which you can do. You can go into the ground, pop up, shoot twice, and then hopefully you can secure a kill, but they're going to have their abilities too, and that's why you need the dash sometimes to deal with whatever ability that they use. You use dash to follow up, and then you get the elim, and then you're stuck out there, then you just die, and then it's GG reset, right? So I feel like that definitely is a thing with Venture that could be a problem when the character comes out, is they will just turbo feed if they're on your team if they don't really utilize the character's kit effectively. But it's really hard to do. I mean, like I'm landing like all these shots, but it's still like if I was playing like any other DPS like Soldier or Cast, that'd be kind of like the same like results over there, where like the character is just gonna die anyways. And the damage on the character, it is pretty consistent. I would say it's easy to hit, but you can't get those burst headshots like you could on Cast. So I would say Venture is not a terrible character, but it's not like a character that I'm like, oh, you can pick it like, Brig when she first came out. That's like super OP. Or remember Malga when Malga first came out. Like you just pick the character, and if the other team had one and you didn't have one, you would just kind of lose, right? Whereas Venture is not really like that. It's not like, oh gosh, they have a Venture, no one has Venture, oh GG, we lose. It's not like that at all. So that's where I put Venture. Now as far as niche characters over here go, I feel like these are what I would consider niche characters, as in they can be good. If you are good with the characters, by all means, you can pick them. But most people that are looking to rank up, I would probably stay away from these characters. If you are interested in learning them, you can do a lot of stuff. Like I really like Junker Queen. The animation canceling is great on the character. But if you get matched up and you are playing against a Malga and he just holds just the mouse buttons on you, you just lose. Like it's because the character has to get within close range, and Malga can just turbo farm most of the tank lineup that's in this category right here, and it just becomes a major problem. Or if you get like a Doomfist, or let's say a Ball that just kind of suck and turbo feed, it's sometimes like it's not really even your fault. Like they just have too many counters, and you can't just like swap into something that just deals with, like if you're playing a lot of the tanks right now, if they happen to have like a Bastion as well as a Sombra, or just even one of those, sometimes you just get kind of pressured in too hard, and then you just simply kind of just lose, and it feels bad because maybe your supports are getting flanked by some other flankers, and you're like, where's my heals? It feels just like a lot of stuff just goes into the tank lineup. That's one reason why I kind of considered Zarya a little bit better, is because at least you can cleanse yourself of any debuffs. Even though Ana sees a lot less play right now, that's where I would put most of these heroes, as in if you're good with them, if you're willing to put in the time, I think they can be okay, or maybe a very specific map dependent. And I almost wanted to put Mei, because like Mei's kind of good on King's Row, right, where you just throw up the walls. But the thing is that overall, I think there's just better options, which is going to be in the D tier. So you can still play all these characters, but again, if you're looking to rank up, there's just, again, better options right now. So what I put under the better options characters, let's go ahead and move this. What I would recommend is, I would recommend staying far away from Reinhardt though. Like that character, even though they have a good win rate, again, I'm factoring in realistically, there's not that many people that play Reinhardt. Sometimes when they play, they just swap off. It has the same thing as Torb and Symmetra. There are really good Rein players in top 500, but the amount of skill required is insane, and there's just much better options than Reinhardt as of right now. The thing with Junkrat and Hanzo is they have to they don't really have their threat that they used to. Hanzo obviously cannot one-shot anything except for Tracer and Widow unless he's getting damage boosted. You lose out on a lot of kill potential, and if you have a Moira, then Hanzo becomes actually quite good. But without that specific character, I feel like that character loses out a lot of its power, because what made Hanzo good is being able to one-shot. What made Junkrat good is being able to just two-tap, and because it requires a follow-up with a Moira orb, yeah. Now, as far as Brig goes, Brig at the highest ranks of the game is an absolute like, A-tier character, probably one of the best like actual healers in the game in terms of numerical value. You can pump out an insane amount of heals, but you have to be landing your knockbacks, you have to be landing and healing at the correct times, and also knowing exactly when to actually use your shield. It's a really hard character to recommend for people to actually try to use to rank up with. And then with Lightweaver, as much as I like the consistent amount of heals at the lower ranks, the character doesn't provide enough utility. The cooldowns are way too long. You pop tree, you still lose fights. I would not recommend this character if I was trying to rank up. Same thing with Mercy. Unless you are pocketing someone that is not in the same rank, like someone smurfing, there's really no point to playing Mercy. There's just, again, so much better options that you have that provide your DPS with a lot more. Like, why damage boost one character when you could just throw a Moira orb, and as long as something hits it, you're getting all that value, right? Where you would have to damage boost that one target, where, again, if you were just to throw a Moira orb, the Junkrat benefits, the Hanzo benefits, everything, the 2 fire strikes can benefit. There's just so many numbers that Moira just like works with. So that's why I would put Mercy just like, it's almost like a pointless character. Unless you're playing like Havana, certain maps, then yeah, I guess you can argue that it could be niche, and you can move it up like it's here over there for like the niche maps, or if they happen to have a really good Widow, then yeah, that character can be quite viable. But that's going to pretty much wrap things up. That's my tier list for Season 9/10, because again, we're including Venture. I'll be making an updated list, but I'm curious to know what you guys think. Would you guys move anything around? What do you guys think of my tier list? As any tier list is going to be subjective, but I did objectively use a bunch of the different stats, again, for Diamond and Under, because once you get into GM, a lot of these things will be like super inflated. But you can see there's a lot of things that are relatively accurate. However, I did factor in, again, the lower ranks. You got to factor in like Zen is not going to be nearly as good at a lower rank as a higher rank, with more coordination, calling out which targets to dive and stuff like that. But that's my thoughts. If you guys enjoyed it, drop a like. If you're new here, subscribe to the bell to see the new updated Season 10 one once Season 10 does come out. But let me know what you would put Venture at, because that's the main thing that I'm really curious about. Where would you guys put Venture? I just put him in the B tier. I think the character's okay. It fits kind of a niche playstyle, and it is viable, but it's not like super, super broken. Anyways, take care, and I'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace out.